Welcome back to another episode of our Wyckoff crypto discussion. As usual, today we'll explore the crypto market through the lens of the Wyckoff method. We've received so many questions in the last weeks. Thank you very much for your feedback. Today we're back with our market outlook. So this information is for educational purpose only, and is not an investment recommendation. Please stop the video and read the disclaimer. So let's start with the weekly perspective. New all-time high for Bitcoin this week. Supply has come in the last week, but as usual, every time we see supply coming in, we want to understand what's the result. And this is a weekly chart, so each bar is very, very important. What do you see here? Buyers are absorbing the supply at higher prices, and we're finally overcoming the all-time high. This price action is very constructive from the long-term picture because it suggests that the new uptrend for Bitcoin can be sustainable in the future. That said, this looks like a climatic run, and this is the moment where you have to use trailing stop loss or monitor your position on the intraday. So in the long term, there are higher PNF targets for Bitcoin, like 25 and 30,000. But it's very important now to be focused on the intraday price action. We are now in the speculative stage, and I think that round numbers are very important psychological levels. Your thoughts, Roman?
Yeah, I really like your analysis here. And as we were preparing for the session, I was telling Alessio, sometimes, like some traders would ask me, how can I trade on intuition? So I usually tell them, don't. This is a big mistake. Get a lot of experience, get everything internalized, your system internalize it in your mind, and then, intuition will come on its own. So our intuition was, as the run was unfolding, that the momentum will bring us to the all-time high. And our first thought, that was the correct thought, was that we're going to overcome that all-time high. So that's the point that I wanted to make. Is just, stick to your first thought, or at least remember your first thought, analytical thought. And it usually overcomes in some kind of like this weird sign of strength manner over the long-term resistance. And we see exactly that. And not only that, I mean, Alessio has mentioned the absorption at the high level. It's a very, very important concept. Why? Because if they are absorbing the prices and supply at the level where they distributed before, that's how we come to the conclusion that there's going to be a continuation, and that there's going to be some acceleration, and there's going to be some long-term sustainable uptrend, which is not done yet. So therefore, all of those concepts are kind of confirming the sustainability of this trend. And I do agree with Alessio that the latest bar is obviously of the climactic nature. Usually after the sign of strength, we would have some kind of backing up action, backing up as a test to the previous resistance that now acts as the support. So, and we'll have to see how that's going to unfold. Tactically, Alessio is absolutely correct. Either go to a lower time frame or trail your stop losses closer to the significant bars that are happening.
So for our chart, I think that this regression line can be very useful here. I like this technique a lot. We can see here that the stride of your trend is accelerating. The last reaccumulation range have very bullish characteristics. It was suggesting a aggressive absorption, and we've discussed the apex formation in the last crypto report on Saturday. So there is still a lot of momentum here. So until we see a clear break of the structure or change of behavior, the trend is still up. As usual, a correction here would be a great signal to look for a rotation to cheaper assets and small caps. Your max, Roman.
Yeah, I like this formation. I mean, like we've been commenting here around this area that conditionally we should have some kind of change of behavior. Change of behavior comes. The next rally suggests strength, as we're seeing some buying. And then after that, a higher low into phase C. I really like, Alessio, this area right here, kind of like hugging the resistance before the actual move up and acceleration at the same time. Supply is coming in on some of the bars to the upside, like this one right here. This is emergence of the supply at kind of like, a logical level 24 going into potential 25. But look how the price behaves. It just basically suggests that whatever supply is there, is going to be absorbed. So there might be, with such momentum, there might be reaction and then still continuation, and we'll have to see kind of like, I wonder, Alessia, what are your thoughts here on continuation?
Yes, we still have higher PNF targets for the current rally. So I think that at least 25 is another target that we could easily reach. And in the past, we've seen crazy price action near the all-time high for Bitcoin in the past cycle. So we really want to follow this price action on the intraday level.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
So here you can see the main crypto indexes. So Bitcoin is still leading, but all the crypto indexes are showing a lot of strength lately. The participation in the market is increasing, and I like here the mid cap index, it tries to break out, but also the DeFi index. I think it's very constructive compared to the price action of the last months. Your remarks, Roman?
Yeah, I like how everything behaves here. Obviously, as Alessia said, Bitcoin is the leadership right now, so it's leading the way for every other crypto asset. And it doesn't mean that it's outperforming everything. No, I'm sure that there are some crypto assets that are outperforming even Bitcoin, but that's not the point. Bitcoin is a flagship. Bitcoin is a leadership cryptocurrency in a sense of institutional commitment, and we're seeing from the volume signature how institutional participation has increased so drastically. So with that, other assets are benefiting as well. Specifically, what I like about all other three is that there is a change of behavior right here that we see in all of them, where the volume signature has increased and supply has come in. This means that someone is selling and someone institutionally selling. And then what happens after that? Is that is this supply being observed or not? And we see that in the continuation in the signature of the supply, and in the volume signature and in the higher lows. And it's kind of like in apex type of formations, which suggests not only continuation as a pattern, but also some acceleration, and we're starting to see that. So for me, Alessio, this is, as you were saying, it's more about the selection, right? So where we're going to go next in terms of what could potentially move faster and longer out of the remaining, assets.
So this is one of my favorite formation, FTX, small cap, accumulation on the way up, and now you can see here a signal strength followed by a backing up action. I think that this pattern is very, very interesting because if we see some kind of rotation from Bitcoin to the altcoins, and FTT still holds near the resistance, the uptrend can start. So we can see accumulation way up, and then finally a new uptrend with a lot of acceleration could start here. But of course, we need to judge the market by its own action. So for now, very constructive price action. Your remarks, Roman?
Yeah, I like how the volume signature increases. As Alessio said, there is more participation, and that's really good. When more institutions are participating, and we're seeing clearly the bias, that is still suggestive of the continuation and the bias up. Yeah, I agree with the comment on the accumulation on the way up. As the price goes up, they want to be in this position, so they start buying it, and that's why all of the reactions are, somewhat small.
So this is a entropy, a submission for our student. a long-term accumulation structure with a signal strength, backing up action, and now the asset is accelerating to the upside. I would expect here to see some kind of short-term consolidation followed by continuation to the upside. But I think that now we are still a bit overbought, so I think that you should look for an entry here on the intraday and not on daily chart. But overall, a very constructive price action.
Yeah, I like it too. I like this whole formation. What I'm noticing, and this is something that Alessio was talking about, that we've talked in the previous reports, look at the timing of this move. When does it happen? When Bitcoin is actually in some kind of consolidation. So look at this move right here, kind of the same principle here as well. And Alessio has shown this to us multiple times, this one as well. Look at this. So therefore, as Bitcoin driving prices up, it's logical that we are going to have some kind of, a pause consolidation here. So it's a very interesting dynamic that you should always be aware of. And Alessio has done such a great job describing this in his report and in these videos. So use that as the timing technique. Alessio, just a really good thought there.
This is my favorite technique for swing trading on crypto. Mm-hmm. My swing trading is based on this technique, so very useful. Very nice long-term chart for Ethereum. So we can see here shakeout, signal strength, backing up action. Now we are currently in the uptrend. So this is a multi-year structure, very interesting. Generally, these coins with a lot of price data in the past are working slowly compared to new coins or small caps that are like grinding up and up and up. But I think that there's potential to reach at least the all-time high here. So very interesting chart.
Yeah, I'm liking this. Kind of, missed a little bit the entries here in Ethereum. I think, if I would be trading this more on the crypto exchanges, that would be a different story. But, with whatever ETFs are available, it's a little bit more difficult. But it just shows a really good recovery. First of all, the COVID decline. Look at how it doesn't touch the climactic stopping action from 2018. Yet volatility is so high. So that just tells us that there is some buying behind it. And then there's one opportunity and a second opportunity to get into this asset. So that was actually really great. And look how most recent consolidation is much shorter in duration. So this is an element of the established trend, with the higher targets. So it just looks really good. Okay.
So Litecoin Big Cap. I like the fact that assets that were lagging the last months now are starting to outperform. I think this is a very constructive sign for Litecoin, but also many other big caps that were lagging during the last months. So you will see a backing up action followed by continuation to the upside. So the trend is still up. Very interesting chart.
Yes, and we've talked at the top of the session of this recording about some other assets that might be outperforming the Bitcoin. Well, look at these 3 bars on the upside. Alessio, am I correct that maybe on absolute basis there's Litecoin outperforming on this latest rally here?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So okay. This is a very interesting chart.
Yeah, so it just shows you that there is money that is moving in to this asset, and there is more support by institutions. That. So capture those, subtle differences. Yeah, those are going to be important. Okay.
So another submission for our student, this is RAN Republic Protocol, very interesting coin. So it was a leadership asset during the 2020 bull run. Then a big change of character came, and now we are in apex formation. So we want to see here a break, at least a break of the downsloping resistance, followed by a retest. After that, the coin could be ready for another bull run, but we want to see that breakout.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this question, Alessio, because this is something that, theoretically we always discuss whenever we have some kind of apex formation. How do you look at the bias in the apex formation? Because we know that mostly it's a continuation pattern, but it also could be a distributional pattern as well. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first we look at the reaction that we have. So the first change of character. So the change of character here is impressive, but when you consider the whole bull run, this is still a 50% correction. So I think that there is still room to grow for this low cap asset. And then look at the volatility. It is decreasing, the volume is still decreasing, high highs, and this happens while Bitcoin is going up. So also this timing, this rotation is very important. I think that a top in Bitcoin could be a first signal for Republic Protocol to come back and see another the resumption of leadership for this asset. But I think that long-term potential is here. So I'm looking this chart like a hawk.
That's great. So on my side, whenever you guys look through the apex, the triangle, look at the volume signature. It is important to note some of the patterns there. It might look a little bit misleading, but if you go into the details of it, you could definitely see some of the characteristics of this apex formation. Demand is increasing, and then supply is decreasing. Demand is increasing relative to what we've seen on the decline, and then supply is decreasing. Demand is increasing, supply is decreasing. So we kind of seen, and then always demand bars are somewhat better or higher than the supply bars that come afterwards, right? So demand is dominating supply in this formation. It's a little bit hidden for a naked eye, for for an amateuristic eye, but you have to develop that type of observational skills in order for you to figure out the bias. And obviously, we still would wait for the confirmation. You could open some kind of probe positions, and I wonder, Alessio, if you have some at this point, but the confirmation would be just overcoming the high of this bar, committing above the downslope in the resistance line, and then overcoming, other higher points of resistance. All right. Well, Alessio, I think that's it for today and for this week. As we go into the holiday break, we are going to have the Q&A sessions for you guys that are going to come out on the Christmas week and on the New Year week. But with that, Alessio, just want to think that I'm grateful that you and I are conducting these sessions. It's always a lot of fun to look at crypto world and just to see the movements that those crypto assets generate. It's definitely not a stock market, so I'm always enjoying those. And just because the crypto market is still relatively liquid to other markets, you kind of observe the composite men behaviors in its pure form. Would you agree, Alessio?
Absolutely. It's a fascinating asset class and a great opportunity for Wyckoff traders and students.
All right. Well, with that, happy holidays, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.